Hi, welcome to episode 143 of the Passionate Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schniffet here on Ravelry and Instagram. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast. Please come over, join. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for remembering that this podcast exists because it's been a while. It's been a long time. 2 months? I think it's been 2 months. And I have done some knitting, but not my usual 2 months worth. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't podcast. The other reason is we are rearranging a lot of things in our house and I just didn't feel like podcasting. I just didn't want to. So here I am and I really want to podcast now. I missed it and I think right now I need a pick-me-up, just as much as everybody else around the world does. I'm also recording with my phone for the first time and I have no idea where to look and what's going on. I'm going to plug it in now to charge it while it is doing stuff because, better be on the safe side because I've never done this before. I started podcasting the usual way with my webcam and my laptop and it just stopped, it got frozen like every minute and I just couldn't do it. So I'm trying this now. I'm going to try to upload it right from my phone. I have no idea if it's going to work, but I'm going to try. So if you see this, it worked. Yay! If not, I've been sitting here for probably an hour talking to myself for no reason whatsoever. So let's get started. I'm wearing a dress that I made a few years ago for myself. It's a raglan dress out of sweat fabric, and it is... I can wear it, but it's quite tight, especially in the arms. I cannot pull those further up than this because everything else is just too tight. The rest fits nicely, it is quite form-fitting up until my butt, but I like it, so I'm wearing it. Okay, I have done a bit of stuff, not a lot. Finished. I've finished 2 pairs of socks, and that is all that I have finished so far in the entire year, which is very unlike me, and that is one thing that is bugging me. But I still don't have my knitting mojo back. I told you in my last episode that I lost my knitting mojo and it still isn't really back. So here we go. I finished a pair of socks for myself. These are the foliage socks that I knit out of a yarn from Leading Man Fiber Arts. The colorway is foliage and I've knit those for myself with 64 stitches top down, slip stitch, heel, flap and gusset, like I always knit my socks, on US 2s, 2.75 millimeter needles because I'm a very tight knitter. So these are for myself. They are done. I have to say I already like the sharpness of this video. This is a good thing. So yeah, I finished these. I'm also sitting on my new couch that we got yesterday. I had pre-ordered it and it took a few weeks to arrive. Otherwise we wouldn't have gone out to get stuff, if it's not necessary. But they called and told me it was there and I had to pick it up. And we did because I didn't want them to send it back. So that's the unnecessary tangent number 1. We can count because I do not have show notes because I didn't want to waste my want-to-podcast time with writing down stuff. So, other thing I have done is another pair of socks. These are for my husband. The yarn is from Stricki Stracki, a German indie dyer and a friend of mine. And I ran out here. But, it's really... If I hadn't told you, you probably wouldn't have noticed. So these are, like I said, for my husband. The yarn is from Stricki Stracki and the pattern is called Rainbow Socks. And I don't remember who it's from, sorry. But if you look it up on Ravelry, it doesn't look super exciting because the pattern that, the picture that they chose as the first picture is very dark and you cannot really see the short row effect of the pattern. But it is super fun to knit. I think it looks amazing. My husband loves these. He, the brighter the better. So yeah, these are for my husband. And that's the only thing I've done. But I've started socks. I have, you know, found my love for socks again. I thought that my sock mojo was back and I was going to knit like tons of socks, but yeah, I didn't. I started a lot of socks, but that's as far as it went so far. So the first thing, and the sock that is not really the farthest, but you know, I have a pair of socks that I have in this project bag from Mad Bird, which is my sock project bag that I carry with me. I have this pair of socks, and this is Cakewalk Yarns, and they are out of business and have been out of business for several years. But it is Cakewalk Yarns, and they're footsie base, and it's called Edisto, which is an interesting name, but this is, oh, now I need to, you know, need to refine where I need to show stuff. This is the colorway. It is really pretty, different kinds of blues and lavenders. I think it's a very pretty sock. I'm just, you know, I'm knitting it in my usual size 38, 39 because a lot of my friends have that size. So I can either gift them or keep them and can decide later. So yeah. Also, 64 stitches, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, top down on US 2s in the Mad Bird bag. And then I have a box of started socks next to me because I wanted to do my usual reading and knitting thing again. So the best project for that for me is a pair of socks because they are just stuck in and around and I don't have to look at it and just can zoom on. And I finished one sock and it's for Tim. When I knit those for my husband, I brought this skein of yarn and the blue skein and said, pick one and I'll use the other for Tim. And of course he went for the crazy one. So this is for Tim. It is his current size, which is a size 30, which is very big for a very small child. Which he's not very small. You know, he's young, but not small. He is very tall. I finished the first sock. I think I knit these with 52 stitches, but I'm not quite sure. I should remember before casting on the second sock. The yarn is Little Monkey Stitch and Spin. I do not know if they still exist. I also don't know if this is showing up the right way or not. It's one of the things I need to learn. The colorway is Surf. And it's just different blues. Again, US 2 DPNs, top down, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, like always. So these are for Tim. And then I have 3 other pairs that I just started. So I had stuff to knit while I read. The first thing I'm going to show you is this sock here. I am not done with the leg yet. This yarn is an MCS blend, which is luxurious. It is Cannon hand dyes in the MCS sock, which is a merino. It's 75% merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% silk. And the colorway is called Kill Claudio. And I mean, look at it. It's perfect. It is so soft. I'm kind of thinking I'm wasting this nice yarn on socks, but these will be for me for sure. They will not end up being a gift for anybody. Then I also have lots of different needles in here. I'm going to talk you through them. So these are Knit Pro Royale needles. They are wooden needles with metal tips. Not my favorites. They are fine enough, but if I had a choice in when I buy new ones, these are not the ones I would gravitate towards. The Kid Claudio ones are on Knit Picks Majestic that a friend of mine got for me in America. And I love these. They are amazing. Now the next pair of socks, also US 2s, DPNs, that stays the same. This is another Crafty Girl. The colorway is called Hideous Sippleback. And it looks like this. I am at the point where I will start the heel. And this sock is on ebony wood needles from Holz und Stein, which are a German needle maker, manufacturer, whatever. And I love those. Those are definitely among my favorites. And then the last sock that I have on the needles right now is Diabolical Yarns in the bling color. No, it's the bling. Dance Mistress is the colorway. And it looks like this. It's a glitter yarn, and I only have knit the cuff so far. And this is on normal, what are you? Chaogu. Yep, it's Chaogu bamboo needles, and I love those as well. So that's the last pair of socks I have started. And like I said, I just work on these when I want to knit and read at the same time because I like doing that. So that's the socks. And I have some more started things to show. So the one thing I'm furthest on right now probably is a jacket for Tim. So I went away. I'm going to talk about it later, but I went to the Swiss Yarn Fest. And when we were talking on the phone in the evening, my son was like, Mom, when are you going to knit a sweater for me again? Like, when I get home? So I had to start a sweater for him when I got home. And he wants one with a zipper, which was very good because I had the yarn and the pattern ready for this jacket already. So it was, you know, perfect. I am knitting the Sapoti. It's out of this book by Carol Feller. It's Short Row Knits, and it is this children's hooded cardigan that I am doing as a jacket. So the pattern calls for DK weight yarn. I'm not using DK weight. I'm using sock yarn held double, and I'm using these two sock yarns. They are Trekking Pro Natura, which is a superwash merino and bamboo blend, and I have those, or I've had those in my stash for 15 years, maybe a bit less, but definitely more than 12. So I bought these at the Schoppelwolle factory store. They were 2 leftover packets where, you know, the skeins were in full skeins. So the yarn completely was less than 10 euros when I bought it. And this is, like I said, the 2 yarns that I'm working with. And I have finished the body. So this is the body. It looks like this. It has a hood because, you know, it's a hooded cardigan. I need to knit the sleeves, and I need to sew down the pockets in the front. But apart from that, it is done, you know, just sleeves and sewing down the pockets, and it's finished. So super easy. I'm knitting this on a 4.5mm needle because that's what the pattern calls for. I'm knitting the 6-year size, although my son is only 4, but he is, like I said, very tall, and my gauge is always tighter, so it ends up being slimmer. And for length, it's a top-down cardigan, so I can just add the length that I need. And I think it's going to be perfect. I'm going to put in a zipper. Her pattern asks for I-cord loops and buttons, and I'm going to do a zipper instead. So that's what I'm working on there. Then the one thing you've seen before, I'm still working on the Laneway dress. I haven't worked on this in a very long time. I should have been working on this instead of casting on a million socks. I'm on the second to last color right now, and then I have 2 skeins for the last color. It is a pattern by Vera Välimäki. It was part of the Interpretations books. I think it's book 1 or 2. I don't know for sure right now, but this is where I am. The sleeves are done because I knit those first so I wouldn't run out. So you can see the whole fade in here. And I'm that far down the body. This is a dress. And I hope it will be long enough to be worn just with a pair of leggings underneath, so I do not have to wear it like a tunic, you know, where I need actual pants. But I think it's going to be fine. So yeah, that's the Laneway dress. I love knitting this. It's been a lot of fun, and I really should get back to it because, you know, it's just 2 skeins and a bit of yarn left. I mean, like, I still have 1,000 yards to knit, but it's going to be perfect in the end. So I look very much forward to having this finished. But it will not get finished if I don't work on it. I think we can all agree on that. So, it goes back in. And my project bag is from Knit Nation, where I went to in, does it say, 2011. Long time ago. I have 2 more things. One is in this pug bag that my husband bought at Britex Fabrics in San Francisco. And it is the Extra Texture by Stephen West. It looks like this. So the pattern calls for a DK weight held together with a fuzzy whatever. And I have looked through my stash and I knew I didn't have enough DK weight plus a matching fuzzy, you know, either mohair or alpaca to use. So I looked through my stash because I thought I had bought something that was fuzzy on its own and thick enough to be just used the way it is. And I was right. I had bought 10 skeins of Rowan Sophili Yak, which is nylon, wool, alpaca, and yak blend. It looks like this. It's a fuzzy yarn. And it is DK-ish. You know, I'm going to say for the meterage or the yardage, it's a DK, but it is quite lofty. So it knits up more as a worsted. Doesn't matter. It's perfect for this sweater. So I cast on the Extra Texture by Stephen West, and I am this far. Can't really tell, you know, I'm working on the front right now. My needle is a bit short, and it's also very kinky. So this is where I am. It's a lot of fun. This sweater will be very warm. And I really look forward to wear it because I think this will be a great color for me. It's, you know, something different, dark, deep, dark red. I don't really have that yet. So I'm really looking forward to having it done. And also it's cables. I love cables. It's super easy to knit. So this will be one of my main focus projects for the near future because I really want to have this sweater before it gets too warm to wear it. And then there's only one project left that I need to show. Yes, I have a cough. No, I do not have the coronavirus. I have a bronchitis and a sinus infection. Yay. But nothing serious. You know, it's not bad. It's just getting on my nerves. Now, the last thing on my needles is in this project bag that I made for myself. And it is a shawl that I'm designing, and I'm using the word designing very loosely here. I'm knitting it. I will not write a pattern for this because I'm not a designer, but I took a shawl knitting class with Julie from Julie Knits in Paris in Switzerland when I was at the Swiss Yarn Festival. And we knit swatches for 2 different types of shawls, and I decided to pick one swatch back up. So the swatch was originally this big, and I had bound it off, but I just, when I got home, you know, took the bind off or out, put it back on the needles, and I started working on it again. This is how far I have gotten, which is not very far. I have no idea where this will go and how this will look in the end. I have no idea what shape it will be. It's going to be modular, I know that for sure, so I'm going to keep going in this direction as long as I want to. And then I will keep pick up stitches along this side where I carried the yarn, so that is gone, and knit in this direction. But I still do not know how, but that's what I started. The yarn, the main yarn that I'm using is this yarn. I've bought this probably 15 years ago, before I knew better, and it is one of those unplied yarns, but it is very soft. So I'm guessing this is a cotton and polyamide blend, which is probably not the best for a shawl, but I like it. The green stripes are this yarn, which keeps unraveling here. This is Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk. It's a leftover from a different project. And then I have 4 mini skeins in here that are all hand dyed by my friend Sandra. And they are going to be the main, not the main, but they're mini skeins. But this, I'm going to show you. This is my color scheme. So I have these 4 mini skeins. And I have these 2. So these are my yarns for this shawl. My intention is to use up everything that I have in my hands right now, so that it is gone out of my stash, used up in a project that I will love, and just, yeah, keep going. Like I said, I will not publish a pattern because I'm not a designer. I will just knit it up. I'm not even writing down what I'm doing because, you know, what for? So yeah, this is my me-made shawl that's not a design. And so yeah, that's all the works in progress I have right now. I really wanted to cast on something new today, but I cannot find the pattern. I wanted to cast on a ballet rep style summer cardigan, which is also patterned by Julie from Julie Knits in Paris. And I've had the pattern for a year because it was published in a magazine last March, and I have that magazine and I cannot find it. I have the yarn ready. I just can't find the magazine anywhere. So I actually hope that she will release the pattern on its own very soon, because it's been a year. So I kind of hope that the year is the magic mark, you know, where it becomes hers to publish. So I can buy the pattern from her, because I really want to make it, but I can't find it. So that's the problem. That's also my knitting in the future, because I really want to make that one. And I really want to make a lot of other things, you know. I feel like I want to start stuff, but I don't actually want to knit, which is the worst feeling, I know. And I need to blow my nose. I'm not going to stop and restart because I don't know how. So sorry, you'll have to live with this because I'm sick. And yeah, this is how things are right now. Like I said, you don't have to worry about me. It's just a sinus infection, although a bad one, but it's just a sinus infection and a bronchitis. So I went to the doctor. I'm good. Now, new stuff. I have new stuff. I got this book from my husband for my birthday, which was in January. So I really like it. I have not decided which thing to knit first or stuff like that. I really like it. I know that I will knit things out of this book. I have no idea which one first, but there will be patterns knit from this book. And that's the only yarny thing I got for my birthday. No, wait, that's not quite true. I got 2 knitting books, but I don't have them here. 2 other ones. One from my mother and one from my sister. But I didn't get any yarn this year, which is okay because I have enough yarn. But it's kind of every friend of mine is like, here, I got you this because I thought you already had enough yarn. It's like, okay, thank you. You are right, by the way. You are right. I do have enough yarn. It was just the first birthday, I think, in like 15 years where I didn't get any yarn. So, and then, like I said, I went to the Swiss Yarn Festival and I took my festival bag that I made for myself, specifically for that reason, like 3 years ago for EYF. And I've been carrying this to every event since. I washed it in between, you know, but it was everywhere. And now it was in Switzerland. I drove down because it's only a 2.5 hour drive from where I live, or like 3 hours. I think it took me 3 hours. And when I drove down, it wasn't yet sure if the festival was allowed to happen. And then they got word that they were allowed to do the festival, but with restrictions. But I had everything that I needed pre-booked, so I was good. So I arrived there on Friday. I was alone. I drove down all by myself because, you know, the first half of to the border, I've been driving several times because there's a supermarket and mall thing right after the border. And every now and then we like just going there and getting, just different food, because when you always get the same stuff, it kind of gets boring. So we did that about once a year. So I knew that part of the road. And to that bit, there's no Autobahn. It's just not happening because there is no Autobahn. So I have to go through the country and through every little place there is. And after that, it's Autobahn. So yeah, it was super easy to drive down and back. So I did. And then Friday, that was Friday. I arrived, I got into my room, which was gigantic. It was a huge room. It was a beautiful hotel. Very expensive, which I think has also to do with, the euro to franc exchange. But yeah, food and drinks and stuff, and the hotel was very expensive from my perspective. So, but apart from that, it was a great hotel. I really liked my room. It was really pretty and big and just wonderful. So I got into my room. I arrived at around 4 p.m. I got into my room and put my stuff in, just, called my husband, said I'm here, everything's fine. And then I decided to go get coffee because I really wanted to get a coffee. So I sat in a hotel lobby, knitting, waiting for word about the festival, because, at that point, they still didn't know if it would have to be canceled last minute. And I had already decided that even if they canceled, I would stay the weekend and just, take the time for myself. So I was sitting there and the word came that they were allowed to commence with the festival. And yeah, I went to dinner. I was by myself at first, and then I was joined by a woman I met earlier while I was having my coffee. And then I went to my room and just had a very quiet night in. I had downloaded Supernatural Season 6. So I had stuff to watch. But my iPad is old and the speakers don't work anymore. So I need headphones, which is not a problem when you pack them. Gets kind of tricky when you forget them at home. So I didn't watch anything. I listened to an audiobook on my phone instead and knit on my husband's socks. They were my travel project. I brought my 2 sweaters as well, the extra texture and the Laneway dress. And I put them in my room and then I put them back in my car. Yeah, could have left them at home in the first place, but I didn't, because I thought I would be doing so much knitting and I didn't. So yeah, that was that. And then on Saturday, the festival was happening. So I went into the marketplace and I had a plan. I wanted 2 very specific yarns, or not specific yarns. I wanted yarns for 2 specific projects. And I found yarn for 1. The other one, I almost found the yarn. And then they were short on 1 skein of 1 color that I needed 2 skeins of, and they only had 1. So it was a bit of a bummer, but I got yarn for 1 project that I had planned to get yarn for. And I'm going to show you all the yarn. I'm just going to talk about the festival first, and I'm going to show you everything I got. So I also met my friend Katrin, who lives about half an hour away from the festival. And we hung out and had lunch together. And then I went back to my room at around 3:30 in the afternoon because I was done. I needed some alone time and just to relax. So I went into my room and put on my audiobook, did some knitting, did some journaling, and just relaxed. And I had made plans with a friend to meet for dinner because she did a reservation for a table, and they had 1 seat left. So I asked if I could join them, and they said, yeah, of course you can join. Let's meet at 7:30. So I walked over at 5 to 7:30, 7:25, because I didn't want to look too desperate. I didn't want to just sit there waiting. But what then happened was that all of the people were teachers and vendors, and they just went from clearing up and everything and making stuff ready for Sunday, right to dinner. And so there was no seat for me left. So me being me, it felt really bad, to be honest. I felt rejected in a way. And so I sat alone at the bar and just felt really bad about myself because I was looking forward to it, and then it just wasn't happening because for reasons that were out of my hands. But then Mimi, another friend, came over and said, you know what, I'm done with my dinner. I've already eaten. Come over, take my place. Because they were like bar tables. They were higher tables. So I could just, go there. And she said, just take my seat and I will stand next to everyone and drink my beer there. And it's going to be fine. So I was able to join after all and made me feel a bit better. But at first it was a real blow, because for me to go out and ask someone else if it's okay for me to join them for whatever is a very big step, because I am such an introvert, and if I do not know people, I'm actually very shy. I lose that. If I get to know you and you get to know me, I lose that shyness and part of that introvertedness. But yeah, it was a sad part for me, but it was nice in the end. So on Sunday, I went for breakfast and I was talking to people. I was just, sitting with the people I had dinner before, and then they went all their ways because they were vendors and teachers and did their stuff. And I walked around the marketplace more, bought more yarn, met with my friend Katrin again, and then it's basically the same. Had lunch, got my stuff into my room, and got my things for the class with Julie, because I had that on Sunday afternoon. And after the class, everyone just bolted, and she was left with all of her shawls laying everywhere, and just a huge mess. And I just asked her if I should help her clean up, because pretty sure that a teacher wants to go home after the class as well, not just all the attendees. So I helped her fold up everything, and 2 other women were still there and heard me ask if she needed help, and then helped as well. And so after that, I texted my friend again, Sabrina, and said, hey, let's try this dinner thing again today. And we did. So I went to the hotel bar because they were sitting there. And we were a group of 6 women in the end. And we went to dinner together and had a wonderful evening. It was really fun. And all of them had to leave either that evening or very early next morning. So on Monday, after the festival, there were very few people left for breakfast and just, being there. So I sat at breakfast with, like I said, just a handful of people. And I stayed a bit longer and talked. Hey, cat. Sorry, the cat walked just by my window. Stayed a bit longer and talked with Julie because her train was about to leave during midday and everybody else had left. So I said, you know what? I'm here with my own car. I can go whenever I want. I'm going to stay and keep you company until you need to go, and then I will drive home. So we did that, and it was really nice, very fun. And yeah, came back home on Monday and started to be sick on Tuesday, which made me a bit anxious at first, to be fair. So on Wednesday, I used up 100 tissue box because I was blowing my nose like crazy. I don't even know how that much snot fits into one head. It must be very empty in there, because let me tell you, holy shit, I was blowing my nose every 5 minutes. So on Thursday afternoon, I decided to go to the doctor after all, because with the weekend ahead, and everything that's been happening. So I called the doctor, told him what I had, told him that I've been at a big event in Switzerland over the weekend. And she told me to call the public health department, which I did. They then told me that I wasn't in a risk area, which was Italy, specifically back then, 2 weeks ago, and I should just go to my doctor. So I went to my doctor, and yeah, sinus infection and bronchitis, nothing serious, but it's been going on for 2 weeks and I'm sick of it. So I'm going to show you my nice yarn because I'm not sick of that. I got yarn because of course I did. So the first thing I'm going to show you, just going to go down the bag, is yarn that I got in a surprise bag. Penny Lane Yarns, Deborah, she did surprise bags and she was so happy with her idea, and I was the first one to buy one and I'm really happy with it. I bought a 4 skein surprise bag, and you know, the first thing that you might realize is this is 5 skeins of yarn. And they are gorgeous. So they are 4 of this gorgeous red and 1 charcoal gray. And it's a fingering weight, 100% superwash merino yarn. And it's perfect. I really like it. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it yet. But it's going to be a sweater. I mean, of course it will be a sweater. Probably with some color work because it just looks to be perfect to me. So that is the first thing in my bag. Then we have lots of yarn from Trey Liz because I think she's just adorable and I like her colors. So I bought stuff from her. I got these 3 skeins specifically to knit the Elton by Joji Locatelli. There's fuss on it. So they are not the same colorway, but they are super similar. So this mohair yarn is the colorway Cypress Hill. And these 2 are dark absinthe. And so, yeah, this will be my Elton. And then I got 2 skeins of mohair in the Outlander colorway. Because I just liked it. You know, it's the only reason I have. I just like the colorway. I had a lot of her yarn in my hands. And I walked by her booth a lot. You know, and looked at things and had ideas. But that's what I settled on. It's green. It's perfect. Then I got 3 skeins of yarn from Edelfaden, which is a male hand dyer. And I just love these. I also went by their booth several times and then finally settled on those 3, which might not be super Tracy colors when you look at them at first, but I just adore them. And they will become a 3-colored shawl one day. I don't know which pattern yet. I haven't decided on anything, but I just love these together. They are 100% superwash merino, each of them. So very pretty, very soft, super nice yarn. Then I went to Billum on both days. So this is the yarn that I got on the second day. The other one's at the bottom, so I'm going to show you that last. So I got these 2 skeins. They have this tweed effect, and it is by a cotton acrylic nep that is in this yarn. It's a fingering weight merino with this nep in it. And I really want to try knitting socks with this. So this will be for me. And this will probably become a hat for my husband because this is just such a pretty color. I'm so glad I got this one. And this is mine. Isn't it? It's gorgeous. I think it's gorgeous. So the yarn that I got specifically for a sweater is this yarn here. It's Malabrigo Rios in the Sunset colorway. And it is a very gorgeous orange. It's this orange. It's beautiful. And I'm going to knit Niska by Bristol Ivy, which is a cabled poncho-y, swancho-y thing that I just liked. And I had bought the pattern last year and I really want to make it. So I got this yarn for it because I know I have a gigantic stash, but I did not have yarn that I could use for this sweater. So I bought these. They are perfect and I love the color. I think this color is going to be amazing. It's going to really pop. And then the last 2 skeins of yarn are 2 more skeins from Billum, which is a Hungarian hand dyer, and it's 2 skeins of sock yarn. The idea is that you start one sock from the outside of the skein, one sock from the inside, and you will end up with 2 identical socks. So this is for my husband and this will be for me. And they're both the same yardage. They just are different size because this is wound tighter than this one. So yeah, this is what I wanted to get. When I read the vendor list, I saw that Billum would be there and I decided that I wanted to get stuff from them. So what else is in here? I got notions as well. Just small ones, you know. I got the official button. Oops. I threw away the official button. So here we are. So this is the official button. It says Swiss Yarn Festival. And I got a unicorn scissors because it's cool. And I got the unicorn tape measure for the exact same reason, because it's very cool. And then I got this one. I got the 52 Weeks of Socks book by Laneway magazine. And there are a lot of very pretty socks in here. I know I do not knit a lot of pattern socks because I really don't enjoy it all that much. But I really wanted to have this book because it's beautiful. There is so many pretty patterns in here. So many indie dyers, indie designers. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's a very big book as well. It's gigantic. But I like it. So that is my story about the Swiss Yarn Festival, about all the things I bought. Now, I need to rearrange myself a bit. The next thing on the usual list is reading, listening, watching, right? Right? I think so. So I've read a book. I cannot show you the picture of it because I'm using my phone to record this podcast, so I cannot show you the picture. But I read Literally Stalked by, I don't know. I actually do not remember. It's the 5th book in the Pepper Brooks Cozy Mystery series. And I read the other 4 books last year and read the 5th one this year. That's all I can say about it. The books about Pepper Brooks are all based on literature. So in every book, there is one author of classic literature that is kind of linked to the murders that are happening. So we had, that one was Bronte based. There was an Austen based one. There was Shakespeare, Austen, Bronte, Trudeau, Henry Trudeau. Is that the name? Henry Thoreau? I don't remember. It's definitely not someone I've read anything of before. And I can't remember the 5th one. But yeah, they're all kind of literature based and it's very fun. So yeah, I read that one. And then I went back to reading The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. She's the author of Six of Crows and the Grisha trilogy. And I've read the Six of Crows duology and I liked the stories. Didn't like the age of the protagonists because it didn't make sense to me, but hey. And now Ninth House is her first, still fantasy, but in reality based adult book. Not young adult fiction, but adult fiction. And yeah, it's I've read like 300 pages and it's good enough for me to continue and I want to know what's going on, but it's not good enough for me to want to read every minute I get. So I'm not going to DNF it, and DNF stands for do not finish. I will finish this book. I want to finish it soon so I can start reading something that actually excites me, because this book doesn't. I know that sounds bad and, you know, it's a good book, but it's not gripping. me. I think that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. The book is about Alex Stern, who is, who gets into Yale without having applied to anything, because in Yale there are the 8 old houses, or not sororities really, I think. I'm not sure if that's the same thing. And they work with a lot of magic. And the 9th house is called Leith, and they are kind of the overlookers. They make sure that nothing happens and that all the houses stay in line where they should be and don't do anything weird. And a lot of the magic has to do with what's going on behind the veil, which is what she calls it, in the world of the dead, basically. And Alex has always been able to see ghosts as soon as, which are not called ghosts, but greys in this book, ever since she was a child. So therefore, she's of value to Leith, because they have to take a special potion to be able to see the greys and make sure nothing happens at rituals and stuff. So it's a very weird book. So, yeah. There's a murder happened and Alex is trying to find out what's going on, basically. I think that's the very short what is happening in this book. But I was confused for the first 150 pages or so, because I just didn't understand what this book was supposed to be about. So that's just, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it more because I just don't know. And then watching. I've been watching Supernatural lately because I was craving something fun that made me smile, made me happy, that I would know I loved. And I mean, Dean Winchester. Hello. It's the obvious choice. So yeah, I watched Supernatural. I finished season 5. I know, for my love of Supernatural, I have not seen a lot of it yet. I've seen the first 4 seasons, I think 3 or 4 times, but I haven't never gone further up for whatever weird reason. I don't know, but I've been watching lately. I finished season 5 and then I started and finished season 6. I'm currently watching season 7 and I just love it. I love Supernatural. If you don't like it, I don't know why. I just really cannot understand. It's funny, it's mysterious, it's suspenseful, and it's about family and loyalty, and just, it's wonderful. I love it. I love Supernatural. And I brought one of the DVD boxes to show, because in case you do not know what Supernatural is, I brought it. So this was the 6th season. I'm actually watching them on Amazon Prime, but I do have 11 seasons on DVD, because I know that this is something I will watch over and over and over and not tire of it, because I love it so much. So yeah, I watched Supernatural and I'm gonna watch Supernatural tonight, I think. So that's the watching. There's no sewing. I haven't been sewing since last November, maybe. I want to. I really do. Right now, it's impossible because of the rearranging of rooms. Because this room, when I started my podcast, for the first 2 episodes maybe, was in a very similar state it's going to be when we're done. I have a couch in here and a matching chair. And there will be, my spinning wheels will be in here. And this will be a room where I just can sit and knit and spin and enjoy myself. And then I got pregnant, and upstairs I had a sewing room / home office, because I'm a teacher and I needed a place where I could put my stuff. So when I got pregnant, we decided that this room would be my son's room. So we put all the sewing stuff in here, and this room became super crowded and super full of stuff. And like 2 months ago, we decided to change up everything again. So our son now is in our bedroom. He got the master bedroom because as a child, you stay a lot in your room, You're in there to play and to hide from your parents and to, you know, not only to sleep, but as an adult, you go into your room to sleep because all the other things you do in all the other rooms. So we freed his old room basically and put our own bedroom in a different room, and now that room is empty again. So that room will become the sewing room again. And yeah, we could have, you know, we could have saved ourselves a lot of work if we had thought this through from the get-go, but we didn't. So yeah, we're rearranging a lot, but it's very necessary. And also while rearranging, you know, we are decluttering a lot. So that's also a very good thing. So yeah, that's the reason why there is no sewing. It's also basically everything else already. So that's been going on. I've also been sick for like 6 weeks now because I started to feel sick in the beginning of February. And then around Valentine's Day, I got a very high fever and just was like absolutely awful. And then like 3 days later, my husband got a fever. So I was the one who had to take care of everything because, you know, he was worse than me. And Tim was fine, which is the worst case scenario, you know, but both parents sick and the kids like, da-da-da, I'm good. So, yeah, I had to take care of everything. And basically that stayed that way until I left for Switzerland. And I think what happened then was my body was like, oh, look, there's no one else to take care of. Let's remind her that we're still sick in here. So, yeah, everything that was left that I had to repress to take care of everything just came back out. And now I've been sick for 2 weeks again, which sucks, but it's needed. I need to heal this so I can be healthy again. I'm doing rearranging, but I'm not overdoing it. So I do about an hour a day and then I stop, because if I do too much, I will just feel awful afterwards and I don't like that. So I'm not doing it. So I don't have a mental health talk this week because it's just right now I do not know what to say. We are in Germany or in Bavaria, I don't know the other areas, but in Bavaria they announced that schools, kindergartens, daycare, everything will close since today. So, you know, Monday, no kindergarten, and it will stay that way until the 20th, 17th of April. So that's 5 weeks where Tim will not go to kindergarten. And he hasn't been last week because he was sick as well. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. He's going to be so bored by the end of those 5 weeks, but it's, you know, it's important. I understand it. And I would have probably not sent him to kindergarten if they hadn't closed it down. My husband's work put out a travel ban, so he's home as well. I'm home anyways because I'm a stay-at-home mom. So we are in our house now all together and we're going to stay there for the foreseeable future, you know. We did not bulk buy anything, mainly because I am a food professional, you know. I've studied and was educated everything with food and nutrition and stuff. So one of the main things I learned over and over was to always have enough food for at least 2 weeks in your house, because you never know what happens, you know. You could get sick and just be unable to go get anything. So yeah, we have enough food in our house always. It's not something we just did now. We always have that. And as my husband is working from home anyways, there's no reason for us to go anywhere. So we will stay home, go outside, of course, in the garden or go for a walk, but just stay clear of people until the problem is, you know, not solved, because I don't think you can solve anything like that, but until it's just a much smaller problem. So me being an introvert, you know, this is kind of not a big change for me because I don't like leaving the house anyways. But yeah, it is what it is, you know. You can't change it, so why whine about something you cannot change? So the last thing I'm going to talk about and show you today is my journal, because yes, I have still journaled on every day, all except with the exception of the time where I had that fever, because I couldn't do anything. So I'm still doing my journal. I still have 2 different ones. One where I put down everything that is going on in my mind, and yeah, just things that are happening and going on. I put in my brain dump journal. And what I brought today is my normal journal, my what I did journal, because I started journaling for one reason only, and that was to show myself that I'm not as useless as I think. And this is helping me a lot, because I see that I do a lot of stuff, actually. I don't just sit around and stare at the walls. I do things. And this is the book that shows me that I do things. So I have this Peter Pauper Press journal that I got as a gift from my mom, but I love this one. It has a magnetic closure, and I showed you my January setup, which was something like this, and I changed it since because I felt like I was using up too much space for a little amount of words. So after January, and like I said, in January I did this 1-page thing, and I did little doodles to put in, and didn't do anything for my birthday because I didn't want to. And then I decided to change it in February because it was just too much. So I again started out with a monthly overview. I kept the money page, and then it started out different. So I put the sleep tracker in here like this, and the mood tracker like that. I'm not super... I didn't like that, so I changed it again. I did the habit trackers on one side, or on one page, and did a meal plan on the other. And you can see, sick. I was sick. We didn't eat anything, or I didn't. Then I have my watching and reading lists, the steps that I'm taking, my screen time, which is holy fuck. My phone is eating my time up. This is crazy. And then I did it like this for the days, and I'm still doing it like that. I have a half a page for a day, and that is the perfect setup. So like I said, for March, I changed a few things again. What I kept was the monthly overview, and in this monthly overview, I write down all the things that I'm doing that are knitting related. So in here it says Swiss Yarn Festival and Weekend, and then I have the money page. I have the meal plan, and then I have the mood tracker and the sleep tracker on a full page again, because I didn't like the squished part about that. I do have a habit tracker again. I did it like this time, and I do have the reading and watching lists, which are, you know, all of this is just for me, but I feel like this helps a lot with me seeing where I spend my time as well. Then again, the screen time, which is terrifying, and my steps, which are, you know, not a lot of steps because sick. And then my daily overviews. And I'm gonna show you this page because it doesn't have anything in. So what I'm doing, I write down what I did and what I made. So I can just fill it in and say, I cooked lunch, and I went grocery shopping, I ran errands, I cleaned the house, I scrubbed the toilet, whatever. And at the bottom, I just write down what I did creatively. And this helps me a lot. So I'm very happy that I'm still journaling. The other journal is a very personal thing, so I will not show you. So yeah, that is me. That is it. It's my update for the last 7 or 8 weeks. I hope you all have a wonderful time. I hope I will be able to do this again on a more regular basis, you know, like every 10 days or so. And I hope I have stuff to show, because if my mojo is not here, I can't show anything. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy everything you do. Bye.